All right. Welcome into a new episode of Carps Corner and to dive into that Michigan State win. Um, Talk a little bit prep for the bye week. We got our questions, mailbag coming up midweek. Got some different thoughts on what potentially could be doing here on Friday with no game coming up on Saturday. So we'll figure that out. But want to dive straight into the game. Ohio State won 49-20. It's 35-13 at half. It never really felt close. And coming into the game, Ohio State's 27-point favorites. Started out at 24. The line grew. And people kind of wondered why was the line this big? Michigan State, even starting the season. Heck, at one point, they were ranked 11th in the country. Well, they lost to Washington. They lost to Minnesota. They got beat at home by Maryland. And then they're coming to Ohio State, or coming to play Ohio State. It's in East Lansing. It was a pretty sold out crowd, which I'm honestly a little surprised. Thought after last year's game where it's 49-0 at halftime, everybody would probably kind of chill out a little bit, and Spartan Nation probably wouldn't be as high on coming to watch their team play. Now there were a lot of Buckeye fans in the stands, so you got that going for you when you're selling it out. And by third quarter, I think that thing had started to empty out for the most part as people realized that Ohio State, was in a much better spot than Michigan State at that point. And they just weren't going to be able to go out there and compete. And so there's a number of reasons why, that's the case with everything going on. I think Ohio State, just the talent disparity right now is pretty stinking big. The players that they have, Marvin Harrison Jr. with what he's able to do out there. I mean, it's filling in for Jackson Smith and Jigba. You've got Julian Fleming out there, Emeka Ibuka, those three guys. I mean, none of them had really played last year until the very last game of the season. And that's without Jackson Smith and Jigba. And they look like three of the best receivers ultimately in college football. A little bit of, I wouldn't say bad stuff. There's some issues with the defense, and I know people have been complaining a lot about that. So we're going to be able to get into all this stuff. But I wanted to start, with the guy of the day. And we're going to throw this up here. Marvin's first catch. Absolutely ridiculous. Marvin Harrison, his touchdown reception, the back shoulder fade, reaching back behind the body, picking it off or catching it, turning around, falling into the end zone. One of the great catches you're going to ever see by Marvin Harrison Jr. Unbelievable player. Like I said, look at his dad. His dad's a Hall of Famer. His dad's 5'10", maybe 5'11". Marvin's 6'3". He's big. He's physical. He's got good top end speed, and he has unbelievable body control and fantastic hands. And the guy's a relentless worker on the jugs. He is out there all the time. Every off day, you see Marvin Harrison Jr., he's out there. They've got these automated ball firing machines now, the jugs machine. You used to have someone fire them. Now you can program those things up. I don't know if they're running off his Bluetooth or what, but he's out there working every day. After a three touchdown reception game, he is out there working again, and he's relentless at it. And that comes from the culture of the room with Brian Hartline and everything they're doing. And that's why we'll throw this up here. 9 touchdowns, most receiving TDs in college football this season. That's Marvin Harrison Jr. right there. 9 touchdown receptions. He started 7 games at Ohio State, and he has already broken the record for games with 3 touchdowns or more in a game. He's done it 3 times. Joey Galloway had done it twice. Marvin Harrison Jr. 3 times. Joey Galloway, one of the fastest Buckeyes ever, played in the NFL for 17 years. And so just understand and appreciate what you have here. And this is a guy where there's some games, it's not even the leading receiver. Julian Fleming will have a couple touchdown passes. Emeka Ibuka could go out there and have 9 receptions. It's like, this is the versatility and the depth that they have. And all this is without JSN, who is going to be back, and he's going to be playing. So I think he comes back after the bye week for Iowa, but we'll see. These guys will make sure they're healthy, and I get it. And frankly, there's no reason to rush them back based upon what you're ultimately seeing right now. Let's talk about CJ Stroud. He's thrown 3 interceptions through 6 games. Dude's thrown a bazillion touchdown passes. I don't even know. I think he had thrown 18 coming into the game. So what's that make it? 24 touchdowns, 3 picks. I mean, something crazy. The guy was 21 of 26, 361 yards, 6 touchdowns, and interception. Now, the one was a pick six. Okay. If you go look at his touchdowns, the ones he threw, how he was able to operate, flipping his wrist, dumping that thing out there. Ball was on the money. And for the thought that, CJ, look, he was a little off earlier this season. Look at him now. I mean, the dude is on fire and he is firing on all cylinders. This is what you want to see mid-season. Your guys in sync playing great football together. Now, let's face it, Michigan State, not the greatest pass defense you're going to find. I believe they're 115th coming into the game. After the game, they're 121st. I mean, playing Ohio State, if your pass defense is bad, total defense is bad, they're not the team to play. But also, how much Ryan ended up running the ball as well, especially running with Trayvion. But rather, let's look, at the interception. Let's take a dive down in this interception. All right. First of all, they went off to the sideline. Brian Hartline, Marvin, and CJ all sit there. There's no blaming. There's none of this. Hey, this is what happened. This is where we're at. We're going to get it corrected. Make sure we're all seeing the same page. And this is how they got him. And so the routes will change based upon the coverage. So the defensive back was playing eyes back inside on the quarterback. It was a 3 deep zone. So he should have been running with Marvin deep. He's running with his eyes back and he's running slow and kind of squatting. And in doing that, Marvin ultimately saw like, hey, I think I can get him. I can take off. CJ saw the 3 deep look, said, hey, I'm going to throw it underneath here. And I think Marvin thought that this thing was going to be more of a window shot into cover 2 because the safety was coming over the top because that's how the corner was playing it. Well, the safety wasn't coming over the top. The corner just was kind of playing back with eyes, squatted down and picks off the football. That stuff happens. It's called cheating on defense. And cheating works sometimes because you're not really doing your job. And so it gives the quarterback and the receiver a false sense of security of what they're seeing. Why don't you cheat all the time? People ask. Well, let's go to that next play. Couple plays later, Emeka Ibuka, they're running the little rub route, and you see the corner again get his eyes back and try to sit shallow. They run the mesh route. He doesn't sink deep. Emeka runs free, and you see Marvin Harrison on the other side of the field, touchdown. As soon as he sees it, they knew exactly what they were going to get. Run through that thing. CJ, you've got a second. Hold the ball and flip it out there. The safety can't get over because it's not his responsibility. You got corners trying to cheat. They thought they could get him. Fool me once, said, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And that's not happening with CJ Stroud. That's not happening with Ryan Day and Brian Hartline's receivers and everything that they're coaching him to do. So you got him once for the pick 6. You weren't going to get him ultimately again. So that's 7 of the points of the 13 in the first half. So you got that right there. Coming in the first half. So the 1 pick 6. I mean, that's something that, it's a little bit rough. You don't necessarily want to see it, but it wasn't a missed throw. It's simply a misread on a bad coverage look because a guy was cheating. All right. So you're running the football. No Mayan, 5 touchdowns, no problem. Get Trayvion Henderson. You give it to him 19 times. $118. For a touchdown. And you saw the toughness that Trayvion's running with, man. Henderson was pounding the rock. He was trying to get in there, get his foot in the ground. And this is something that he's had to work on because he's a great open field runner. I don't think he's ever really, and he's a physical dude. He's got nice size. He's strong, but he's so fast and elusive. I don't think he's ever been a guy that's really had to run downhill between the tackles and absorb contact a lot. Even last year, he was out in wide open spaces, making guys miss. And so this was a toughness game for him. And of his 19 carries, I'm not sure how many were in the first half, but I think it was like 14 or 15 of them. They made a point to ride him hard early in the game. Now, he got tweaked a little bit, came out. He's going to be fine. Not a big deal. But I was kind of amazed that they were running him that much, given the fact that there was no mine and they weren't working Dallin Hayden in a little bit more. But that was a big game for Trayvion to be able to go out there and play that tough and be able to ride him like a workhorse because you're going to need that. Mine will come back. He should be good to go for Iowa. And so that's a great situation. But to see those guys put their foot in the ground, to see Henderson get downhill, run through tackles, use that athleticism, but also use that toughness, that strength that he's built up in the offseason with Mickey Marotti. That's another great thing. Then it was good to see Dallin Hayden. I mean, he's got 14 for 70, finishing off the game. They're moving guys around a little bit. I want to get some of the young dudes in. I don't think Dallin Hayden at the beginning of the season thought there would be games this season where he was the number 2 running back, given that he was 4th entering camp. But that's what injuries do. And so you have to be ready with the next man up mentality. And that's one of the things that's so impressive about this team is the fact that when a guy goes down, there are guys to replace, sometimes 2 and 3. You saw at the wide receiver position, you're seeing at the running back position right now. And also, let's not forget about this. A lot of that running success is predicated by the offensive line. Justin Fry has the offensive line playing at a very high level. So watch some clips of DeJuan Jones getting after guys. And that's what you want to see is offensive linemen who love to impose their will, their size, their athleticism, their physicality, their strength on the opposition. You can sit there and pass pro all day, and they've done that. But to watch them begin to run the ball, Ryan talks about it over and over and over again, the competitive stamina, developing the toughness, and that is something that he has wanted to work on, and you're starting to see it. And that's why he goes out and runs the football. They could have thrown for 600 yards against Michigan State. They could have thrown it 55 times, kept CJ in there, just dinked and dunked it, took shots down the field, not even ran the ball, but he wanted to send a message. He wants to keep these guys, keep that edge so they keep pounding the rock. And that's a big piece of it. Now we look at Ryan, what he's doing. You know, him and Hartline, Wilson, Fry, like the whole crew, Tony Alford. I mean, they sit there, they devise this stuff. We're seeing this creativity in the mix again. You know, you're ultimately seeing Mitch Rossi on a dive. You know, they call him an H-back, but he looks like a fullback. You get that 22 personnel, 2 tight ends, 2 running backs, just 1 receiver. That's tough for a team that can go 4 wide receivers at any point in time. That's tough to see. And so you can get this versatility, that creativity and short yardage is making it really difficult to stop. And how about this? How about my guy, G. Scott? G. Scott shifts over from receiver. He's put on mass. He's put on bulk. He's worked on his blocking. You've heard Kevin Wilson talk about it. He's worked hard. And you know what? So Cade Stover becomes the number 1. He emerges. You know, G. Scott's not getting a ton of run. They're trying to get him the ball. Coverage-wise, it's not working out. Finally gets his touchdown. I'll tell you this, man. I love watching G work. G's been relentless. He works hard in the weight room. He's diligent. He's conscientious. He's been diving in. And so when you say trust the process, like it's really hard to continue to trust without results. And so to see G finally get that touchdown, I was really happy for him. Because, man, he's doing it all right, and you're going to continue to see him emerge and get better and better and better. And that's what's great is there's still, as good as this offense is, there are guys who are going to continue to improve both this season and then into the future as well. G. Scott, one of those dudes. And so now you can get in 22 personnel with him, Cade Stover, Mitch Rossi in the backfield. You can run it. Both those guys are viable receiving threats down the field. You can flex them out. You can flex Henderson. I mean, you've got a lot of options with how you can try to screw defenses. And being a linebacker, that's so hard as a defensive player to identify personnel groups, come out and line up and try to have an idea of what they're going to run. And it also limits your calls because when you can flex out and break guys out of formation and flex out tight ends, flex out running backs, then you can't blitz it as much and you really limit your calls of what you can attack. And then also this, Xavier Johnson, you know, the walk-on who became the hero of Notre Dame, helping get that thing on the right track after some injuries. And what are they going to do? If you work hard for Ryan Day, you work hard in the weight room, you practice hard, and you deserve to get on the field, they're going to get you on the field when you prove that you can make plays. Xavier Johnson has proven that he can make plays. And because of that, you know what? We're going to get you the ball in unique ways. We're down a running back. You know what, buddy? Hop in the backfield. We'll give you some zones. We'll give you some tosses. We'll give you the football back there and let you work. Oh, by the way, this is going to blow people's minds as they sit here and try to prepare for this because now we have more versatility with our players. We have guys that can do a lot of things, and it's really tough to defend that. So watching that now, I guarantee you, Mel Tucker, they're sitting there. I don't know what to call. Okay, well, this is normally a 3 wide out look, maybe a 4 wide out look. They're going to flip this guy in the backfield. Well, now all of a sudden we've got some different issues that we have to deal with. Crazy right there. Crazy talk. So seeing that happen, unbelievably impressive. Talked about my 3 things that I wanted to see in the game on Friday. I would kind of call them keys to victory, but you're 27.5 point favorite. My goodness. Like, it's not really keys to victory at this point. It's just line up and go and get the job done. Talked about the running game. Wanted to see that continue to be reestablished. Ryan's going to be hitting it every week because he doesn't want to get to Michigan and not be able to run the football. So they're going to keep pounding this thing. They keep getting 25 rushes a game. They're going to make sure that Trayvion and Maya, when they're healthy, those guys are each getting 12, 13, 14 rushes. They're going to be working that in there. So they're getting a combination of probably 20 to 25. So that's still a big part of this offense. Get some dives to Mitch Rossi. Why not? Throw Xavier Johnson there. They want to work on the running game. Boom. Ryan did that, executed it well. So I wanted to see the defensive line have a big game. And so linebackers have been playing great. Eichenberg and Steele. I know I sing their praises all the time. Safeties have been playing well. And we'll get to the corners in a minute. I wanted to see the defensive line play well. Well, Mike Hall played like 7 or 8 plays. He had 2.5 sacks, TFLs, should have had another sack, got stripped away by a penalty. He did all that in 7 plays. He played well. Jerron Cage, sack, played well. Tron Vincent, TFL. My man, Tommy Eichenberg, 8 tackles and a half sack. So, you know what? He got the other half of Mike Hall's. But the D-line played well. And how about this? How about the sliding Zach Harrison down inside? I know he got the hands of the face, but like seeing Zach today, like he is a big dude. He's got the capacity to probably put on another 10 or 15, 20 pounds if he wants. I think he would be perfect to be able to play inside with some power and speed in there with what his skill set is. I think you're going to see more of that. They're going to continue to develop that. It's going to be able to get JTT and Sawyer on the field with them all at the same time, putting your best rushers out there. You put those 3 out with Mike Hall. Now you've got something in a pass rush situation that could be real nasty. And then lastly, special teams. Just keep it clean. Keep it clean. I'd like to see a big play, but I'm not going to go crazy. But, make your extra points. Michigan State did not do all that. Just no miscues. Chip Trainum back, Emeka Ibuka. Those guys kept it clean. They kept it clean. Penalty free. There was no glaring issues anywhere. And so special teams came to play. And honestly, you picked up a point. Michigan State, they blow it. They spray one wide. All right. So those 3 boxes all checked. Looking at the defense now. Coming in the game, their scoring defense was like 15th in the country, 14.8, I believe. Coming out of it, it's like 15 and change. Still tied for 15th in the country for scoring defense. Total defense, they're ranked 7th. Now, total defense is good because that's yards, but ultimately it's about scoring defense. Yards are good, yards are nice. There's an element that's important, but ultimately it comes down to scoring. If you get turnovers and you shut people down in the red zone, that's what matters. And so they've got Iowa coming up next. I would be disappointed if they give up double digits to Iowa. Iowa can't score. Their offense can't play dead in the Western. And so that should improve. In this defense, if they can be a top 25 defense, I heard Joel Klatt say, if you can be a top 25 defense, they got a shot to win a national title. Not to say they're going to win it. They got to go out there and perform. But it's a top 25 defense right now. Heck, it's top 15 defense right now. And they're playing well. They're going to continue to get better and get it going. Now, pass defense, that's the big thing everybody's worried about. Pass D. All right, the quarterbacks, Thorne and Kim, threw for $195, 2 touchdowns, and they throwing out an interception. All right, let's dive into this a little bit. Playing the deep ball. Cam Brown was in good position a couple of times. Once he wasn't, got his pass interference. But listen, it's about finishing plays. The guys are right there. They're playing well. Jair Brown playing well. Jair Brown playing well. J.K. Johnson playing well. The young guys are out there. They're playing well. Denzel Burke did a good job. That was one of his better games. He's snapping back, I think, from some of the stuff earlier in the season. But it's simply finishing on the deep ball. And playing the deep ball is the hardest thing to do in just about all of sports. Running full speed, looking over your shoulder, keeping connectivity, tracking, finding the ball, and then getting your hand on it is incredibly difficult. So some of those guys, they got their hand in there. The ball goes right over top of it. They just got to work on raking and running through the hands and getting the ball out. And that's going to come. That will come. I believe it. You saw Cam Brown throw his helmet off. Like, I love the guy's competitiveness. He's a tempo setter for this team, and they need it. You saw him last year against Michigan. He gets a little fired up, and as long as he's not getting penalties and costing the game, but you'll love to see that emotion. I'll take Cam Brown's emotion any day than over a guy who gets beat and comes over and just sad dogs you. Cam was furious about it. He is a tough competitor, and you saw it last season. He understands there's only a very few number of sands left in the top of his hourglass, and he wants to get better. So he's going to take it this week. He's going to continue to improve, and they're going to keep grinding on stuff. They're going to get better. Some of the good, Lathan Ransom, showing a little down box safety, quarter safety, screw in the middle, taking off, picking off the backside post. Peyton Thorne did not see him coming. Great play by Ransom. And that's a guy, like, listen, him and Proctor are splitting some time. He played a lot more than Proctor in this game. But both of those guys are going to be vital parts of this team. Both of them are NFL players. And Ransom made some big plays. So good for him. That was an awesome over-the-shoulder Willie Mays basket catch. Got it done. Playing the deep ball really, really well. The safeties are playing good. And inside guys, Tanner McAllister playing really well. Ronnie Hickman playing well. Those guys are tackling well. They're getting guys on the ground. They're tight in their coverage. They're doing everything that you want to see. It's been very, very impressive. And so I'm pretty happy with the performance. Like I said, there was a lot to it. The last piece, and this is at Ohio State. This is what you can be upset with at Ohio State. And I'm not upset about it, but Kyle McCord, gets in, middle of the third. You're thinking you're going to get a chance to kind of see him because everybody, Buckeye Nation, wants to see what he can do. You saw him last year early in the season, non-conference, started game. It looked pretty good. But the C.J. Stroud era will end one day, and he's the Heisman frontrunner right now, so you want to make sure he positions himself to be able to win that. But getting guys reps is good. So hitting the ball off, that's great. And Ryan's trying to balance. Kyle threw a couple of passes, 2 for 2. I'd love to see him at some point throw 10 balls in a game. And maybe that's next week against Iowa. Who knows? Northwestern. But to get real live action, no matter who it's against. I know he gets reps in practice against defenses that are better than you're seeing in the game. But just to be able to see him in there, like, that's key. Because I think it would do loads for his confidence. And you can find out a little bit about the guy. It's like I said, you got Devin Brown coming up. Ultimately you have Raiola coming in as well, but you want to make sure you're playing veteran guys and they have experience so they can hit the ground running. Remember last year, CJ didn't throw a snap, didn't throw a ball in the game before he started. And you don't necessarily want to see that again, but it's CJ's third year. You can see the growth. Kyle's been here a couple of years. He knows what's going on now. And so this has been a pretty great thing. So that's the only thing you can be upset about. Not upset. It's the one thing you're talking about if you're a Buckeye fan. Can you get your backup quarterback more snaps, have him throw the ball more? And you're trying to balance it between running it up when it's 49-13 and scoring more points than you really need to, or do you hold your quarterback back and you don't necessarily get them maybe quite as many balls. So there's that. Michigan State, they were pushing the ball down the field. So if you're going to do that and you're going to try to play it and try to score more points, hey man, it's all open game. I'm going to throw it too. But that's neither here nor there. But that is it for this edition of Carps Corner, taking you back to the Michigan State game. We'll get the mailbag midweek. We'll preview some of the other games, tell some bye week stories at the end. Maybe I'll try to get Age on or something at the end of this for Friday. But thank you for tuning in. Continue to subscribe. Continue to watch. Ask questions. Comment on it. Whatever you can do. Listen, I'll answer all your stuff. And we'll continue to keep growing this thing, all right? Talk to you soon.